The frozen world does not arrive all at once. It seeps in slowly through stone and bone, through breath and skin. Cold air drifts across the land like a patient animal, settling into valleys, slipping between trees, resting against the walls of a cave carved by time itself. Inside that cave, firelight trembles. It paints the rough stone with soft, moving shadows, shadows that have lived here longer than memory. Outside, the wind carries distant sounds, the low call of a night creature, the creak of frozen branches, the far-off hush of snow sliding across open ground. Above it all, ancient stars hang heavy and bright, watching quietly as they always have. Near the fire, a lone caveman sits wrapped in furs, stiff with frost. His world is small and steady, stone tools laid nearby, a spear resting against the wall, embers glowing like slow heartbeats. Life moves by rhythm here. Wake, walk, wait, eat, rest. Nothing hurried, nothing wasted. As the fire crackles softly, there is time. Time to notice warmth returning to cold fingers. Time to listen to breath moving in and out. Time to simply be. If you find yourself here too, sitting beside this fire, you might gently tap the stone beneath you, as if leaving a small mark of your presence. Perhaps you quietly share that you enjoy this moment by liking the fire's glow, subscribing to the steady rhythm of nights like this, or whispering into the darkness where you are listening from, the US, Europe, or somewhere far beyond. And what hour the stars say it is for you now. The caveman shifts closer to the fire. You can do the same, settle in, lower the lights around you, let your breathing slow. Inhale like the cold air at dawn. Exhale like embers settling into ash. Imagine yourself safe here. Stone walls thick and strong, the fire warm and faithful. Nothing is needed from you tonight. Only listening, only rest. The frozen world waits patiently as the story continues. Morning comes without color. The frozen world is pale and quiet, wrapped in a thin blue light that barely reaches the cave mouth. The fire from the night before has softened into glowing embers, breathing warmth into the stone floor. The caveman wakes slowly, not with urgency, but with habit. His eyes open to the familiar curve of the cave ceiling, darkened by years of smoke and seasons of survival. Cold presses gently against his skin as he sits up. He pulls furs closer, feeling their rough comfort, the memory of animals that once ran across these plains. His breath rises in faint clouds, then fades. Outside, the land is still. Snow lies untouched, smooth as stone, holding the quiet of the night. He feeds the fire with a few dry sticks kept close for mornings like this. Sparks lift, then vanish. The warmth spreads, slow and patient, reaching his hands, his chest, his tired legs. Stone tools rest nearby, scrapers, blades, shaped carefully over long evenings. He checks them one by one, not rushing, just remembering their weight, their purpose. Beyond the cave, the frozen ground waits. Tracks from yesterday are half buried now, softened by frost. There will be walking later, watching later, perhaps waiting near the river where animals pass in silence. For now, there is only the fire and the steady sound of breathing. The caveman sits still, letting warmth settle into his bones. Outside, the wind moves gently across the plain, carrying no threat, only the promise of another quiet day. The fire crackles low, embers glowing softer and softer as the morning holds its breath. The day begins without words. The caveman rises when his body feels ready, not when the sky commands it. He stands slowly, joints stiff from the cold night, and stretches beside the fire. Ash shifts beneath his feet, leaving faint marks that will soon disappear. At the cave entrance, he pauses. The frozen air brushes his face, sharp but clean. He scans the land with calm eyes. Snow-covered plains stretch outward, broken only by dark stones and distant trees, standing patient and bare. The river lies far away, hidden beneath ice, whispering softly beneath its frozen skin. He steps outside, boots made of hide pressing gently into the snow. Each footprint forms clearly, then settles. He carries his spear loosely, not raised, not tense. Hunting does not begin with pursuit. It begins with listening. The world speaks quietly. A bird lifts from a tree far off. Wind slides across the plain, carrying the faint scent of animals that passed during the night. He follows slowly, not chasing, simply walking in rhythm with his breath. Time moves gently here. The sun climbs just enough to reflect pale light across the snow, never warming it fully. He stops often, kneeling to examine tracks pressed into the earth beneath the frost. Hooves. Old. Safe to remember, not to follow. After a while, hunger stirs, not sharp, just present. He accepts it, knowing patience feeds survival as much as food. He turns back toward the cave, satisfied with the knowledge gathered, with the quiet walk itself. Inside, the fire still waits. He settles near it once more, adding a small branch, watching flame return. The cave fills again with warmth and shadow. Outside, the frozen world remains calm and distant. As the fire dims slightly and the day slows, his breathing deepens, steady and unhurried, resting once more in the quiet shelter of stone. The hours pass without being counted. Light shifts slowly at the cave mouth, changing from pale blue to a softer grey. The caveman sits close to the fire, shaping time with small movements. He selects a smooth stone and a piece of bone, turning them in his hands, feeling their balance. The tools are not rushed into being. Each strike is careful, spaced by breath and thought. Stone taps stone. A quiet sound, steady and reassuring. Tiny flakes fall away, collecting like pale leaves on the cave floor. The edge grows sharper, more useful, shaped by patience rather than force. Outside, the wind rises slightly, brushing against the cave walls, then moving on. He pauses often, listening. The frozen world speaks in layers, the distant crack of ice, the low hum of wind across open land, the silence beneath it all. This silence is not empty, it is full of watching, full of waiting. When his hands grow tired, he rests them on his knees and leans back against the stone wall. The cave holds warmth now. Smoke drifts upward, tracing familiar paths along the ceiling. Shadows move slowly, like memories, stretching and settling. Thoughts come gently, not worries, not plans far ahead. Only the simple knowing that night will return, that fire must be fed, that rest is as important as movement. Survival here is not a battle, it is a rhythm. He closes his eyes for a moment, just long enough to feel the fire's warmth sink deeper. Outside, the sky begins its quiet shift toward evening, unseen but sensed. The fire crackles softly, then settles again, and the caveman's breathing slows, calm and even, as the frozen world waits with him. Evening arrives without announcement. The light at the cave entrance dims, turning the snow outside a deeper shade of blue. The cold grows heavier, pressing gently against stone and earth. Inside, the fire becomes the center of the world again, its glow small but strong against the dark. The caveman rises and steps outside once more. The air feels sharper now, biting softly at his face. He pulls his furs tighter and listens. Night animals begin to stir. Quiet movements, distant calls carried by the wind. Nothing comes close, nothing threatens. The land simply breathes. He gathers a few more branches left nearby from earlier days, brushing snow from them with slow, practiced motions. Each piece of wood matters. Each will become warmth, light, time. Back inside the cave, he builds the fire carefully. Flames grow, then settle into a steady glow. Shadows stretch taller along the walls, dancing gently. The cave feels smaller, safer, wrapped in warmth and familiar scent. He eats sparingly, dried meat, hard and cold, softened by the fire's presence. Hunger fades into comfort. He drinks melted snow, warmed in a stone bowl, feeling heat move slowly through him. When the meal is done, he cleans his hands with snow, then returns to the fire. He sits low, leaning against the stone, watching embers shift and glow. Outside, the frozen world grows darker. Stars appear one by one, distant and silent. The night deepens, the fire quiets. The caveman pulls his furs close and lets his body sink into rest, the steady warmth guarding him as the dark settles fully around the cave. Night stretches wide across the land. The sky beyond the cave mouth is thick with stars, brighter in the frozen air, scattered like stone dust across darkness. The moon hangs low, pale and distant, offering just enough light to shape the outlines of trees and hills. Inside the cave, the fire has softened into a bed of glowing coals. Their warmth moves slowly, breathing against the cold that presses from the outside world. The caveman lies on his side now, furs pulled high, one arm resting against the stone floor. Sleep does not come all at once. First comes listening. The wind passes the cave entrance, whispering but never entering. Somewhere far away, an animal calls, low, steady, not hungry. The sound fades, replaced by silence. The caveman shifts slightly, finding a place where the stone feels familiar against his back. He knows every curve of this shelter, every cool patch and warm hollow. His body relaxes because it remembers safety. Firelight flickers faintly, painting slow shadows across the walls. His breathing deepens, each breath slower than the last. Thoughts drift, unformed, like smoke lifting and disappearing. Outside, frost begins to grow stronger, tightening its hold on the land. Inside, warmth remains. The contrast is gentle, protective. The frozen world may rule the night, but it does not reach him here. As the embers dim further, glowing softer and softer, his eyes close fully. The cave settles into deep stillness, holding him as sleep begins to arrive, quiet and unhurried. Sleep moves lightly at first. The caveman drifts between waking and rest, aware of warmth and stone, fire and fur. His breathing stays slow, steady, matching the soft rhythm of the embers as they fade and glow again. Sometime in the night, the wind changes direction. It slides past the cave entrance with a deeper tone, carrying colder air from distant plains. Snow shifts outside, whispering against itself. The sound is gentle, almost soothing. Inside, the caveman stirs but does not wake fully. His body knows the cave will hold. The stone walls are thick. The fire, though low, still guards him. A single coal breaks apart, sending a brief spark upward, then settling into ash. Dreams come quietly. Not stories, not images, only feelings. The memory of walking across snow, the weight of a spear in his hand, the warmth of fire after cold hours, these drift through him like passing clouds. The night stretches long, time becomes wide and soft. The frozen world outside continues its slow work, covering tracks shaping silence, resting beneath the stars. Near dawn, the fire is nearly gone. Only a faint glow remains, breathing once, then growing still. The caveman sleeps deeply now, untouched by cold, held by stone and fur, and the quiet trust built over many nights. Darkness lingers, calm and complete, as rest settles fully into the cave. Dawn returns slowly, as if unsure of itself. A thin line of pale light reaches the cave entrance, touching the stone floor and stopping there, respectful of the night that still lingers inside. The frozen air outside has grown sharper, tightened by hours of darkness. Frost coats the ground in delicate patterns, fragile and bright. The caveman sleeps on, breathing deep and even. His chest rises and falls beneath layers of fur. The cave holds its warmth a little longer, sharing what it has saved through the night. Ash lies quiet where the fire once glowed, a soft grey memory of heat. At last, his eyes open. Not suddenly, not with alarm. He blinks slowly, adjusting to the faint light, listening first before moving. Silence answers him, wide and calm. No footsteps, no warning sounds, only the distant wind and the quiet earth. He sits up, joints stiff, and rubs his hands together, feeling cold retreat bit by bit. He reaches for a small bundle of dry grass and bark kept carefully aside. With practiced patience, he coaxes a flame back into being. Smoke rises, then fire answers, small and steady. Warmth returns to the cave, touching stone and skin alike. Outside, the frozen world waits again, unchanged and patient. Another day begins, not demanding, only offering time. The caveman settles close to the fire, letting heat soak into his bones as light slowly grows beyond the cave mouth. The moment stretches, peaceful and unhurried, as the world breathes quietly around him. The fire grows stronger, and with it, the sense of morning. The caveman feeds the flames slowly, never wasting fuel. Each branch is placed with care, each movement measured. The crackle of fire fills the cave with a familiar comfort, chasing the last of the night's chill from the stone floor. Outside, the sky brightens to a pale silver. Clouds drift low, heavy with cold, moving without urgency. The frozen ground glimmers faintly, reflecting the weak light of the rising day. Everything feels hushed, as if the world itself has chosen to move gently. The caveman prepares for walking. He tightens the leather bindings on his boots and checks the edge of his blade with his thumb, careful not to rush. Tools are returned to their places, nothing left behind, nothing forgotten. Order brings calm. He steps outside and pauses, letting his eyes adjust. Breath rises and fades in front of him. The land stretches wide and quiet. No fresh tracks cross the snow nearby. The animals have chosen other paths today. He walks anyway, slowly, not searching, only moving. Each step presses into the frost with a soft crunch. His footsteps form a simple line across the plain, soon softened by drifting snow. He listens to the wind, to the distant ice beneath the river's surface, to the faint creak of trees holding their breath. After a short while, he turns back. There is no need to go far today. The cold asks for patience, not pursuit. Inside the cave again, he warms his hands by the fire. The outside world fades behind stone walls once more. The flames settle into a steady glow, and the day eases into quiet work and rest. As time slows, the cave fills with gentle warmth and stillness, and the frozen land waits beyond, calm and unchanged. The middle of the day passes almost unnoticed. Light filters into the cave, thin and cool, never quite reaching the deepest corners. The caveman remains inside, close to the fire, letting the cold world rest on the other side of stone. He spends time mending. A tear in a fur is stitched carefully with sinew and bone needle. Each pull is slow, deliberate. His hands move with memory more than thought, guided by long practice. The sound of thread sliding through hide is soft, steady, calming. The fire crackles gently. Smoke drifts upward and disappears into the darkened ceiling. Outside, the wind shifts again, carrying the distant sound of ice settling somewhere far across the plain. The sound is low, almost like a sigh. When the stitching is finished, he sets the fur aside and leans back against the cave wall. His eyes close for a moment, not in sleep, just in rest. The warmth reaches deep, easing muscles shaped by walking and waiting. Time stretches. Hunger returns lightly, and he eats a small portion, saving the rest. There is comfort in knowing food remains, in trusting tomorrow will arrive. The day grows older, light outside begins to fade, though the cold never leaves. Inside, the fire becomes brighter by contrast, its glow steady and reassuring. As evening approaches, the caveman sits quietly, listening to the fire breathe, feeling the stone behind him, the earth beneath him, grounded and safe as the world slows once more. Evening settles gently, like snow falling without sound. The light at the cave entrance softens and thins, stretching long shadows across the stone floor. The caveman adds another branch to the fire, watching the flames rise briefly before calming again. Outside, the frozen world prepares for night. The wind lowers its voice. The sky deepens in color, turning from pale gray to deep blue. Far away, a bird calls once, then falls silent. The caveman stands and stretches, feeling warmth in his muscles, cold at the edges. He moves slowly, never wasting energy. He steps to the cave entrance and looks out one last time before darkness fully arrives. Snow drifts across the plain in thin waves, smoothing everything it touches. Satisfied, he returns inside. He arranges his sleeping place carefully, furs layered just right, stone cleared of sharp edges. Comfort here is simple, built from attention. He eats again, quietly, listening to the fire and nothing else. The taste is familiar. Enough. As night takes hold, the fire becomes the heart of the cave once more. Shadows grow taller, then settle. The caveman lowers himself onto the furs, resting on his back now, eyes following the slow movement of light across the ceiling. Breathing deepens. The world outside fades. Inside, there is only warmth, stone, and the promise of rest. The fire dims slightly, embers glowing softly as the frozen night wraps the land in silence. Night deepens without effort. The sky outside the cave is now a wide field of stars, clear and sharp in the frozen air. Their light reaches the ground faintly, silver and cold, touching snow and stone alike. The land rests beneath them, unmoving. Inside, the cave breathes slowly. The fire has settled into a quiet rhythm, embers pulsing with soft light. The caveman lies still, listening. His body is heavy with warmth, wrapped in furs that carry the scent of smoke and time. A sound drifts in from far away, a low, distant howl carried by the wind. It is not close, it is not urgent, just another voice in the wide night. The caveman does not move. He knows this sound. It passes like everything else. He shifts slightly, finding a place where the stone feels smooth beneath his shoulder. His breathing slows further, deep and even. The fire responds, cracking once, then returning to silence. Thoughts fade completely now. There is no planning, no remembering. Only the gentle awareness of being held by the cave, by the earth itself. The frozen world outside remains vast and cold, but it no longer matters. As the embers glow softer, the cave grows darker. Sleep settles deeper, calm and steady, like snow covering the land layer by layer, until everything is quiet. Sometime during the night, clouds drift across the stars. The sky grows darker, heavier, as if wrapped in thick fur of its own. Snow begins to fall again, softly, each flake landing without sound. The frozen world accepts it quietly. Inside the caveman remains asleep. His breathing is slow and steady, matching the gentle pace of the night. The fire is nearly gone now, reduced to a faint red glow buried beneath ash. The warmth lingers, held by stone and fur. A small movement, just a shift of his hand, fingers curling slightly, then resting again. The body remembers comfort even in sleep. The cave holds steady, unmoved by wind or snow. Outside, the falling snow smooths everything it touches. Tracks vanish. Sharp edges soften. The land becomes one quiet shape beneath the dark sky. The wind lowers its voice further, as if careful not to wake the world. Inside, the darkness grows deeper. The last ember dims, then steadies, breathing faintly. The caveman sleeps on, untouched by the cold beyond the stone walls. The night stretches long and gentle, wrapping the cave in silence, as rest deepens and the frozen world fades into quiet stillness. Before dawn, the world is at its quietest. The snow has finished falling, leaving the land outside smooth and untouched, like a long-held breath finally released. Clouds thin slowly, allowing a faint, distant glow to gather at the edge of the sky. Inside the cave, the air is cool but calm. The caveman sleeps deeply, curled slightly now, furs rising and falling with each breath. His face is relaxed, free of tension. The long night has done its work. A faint sound reaches the cave, ice shifting along the river far away. A low, gentle groan that fades as quickly as it comes. The sound does not disturb him. It blends into the rhythm of the world he knows so well. The cave walls hold traces of warmth from earlier fires. Stone remembers heat the way the body remembers rest. Ash lies still, soft and grey, waiting for morning hands to wake it again. Slowly, very slowly, the sky outside begins to lighten. Not yet day, not yet night, only the promise of change. The frozen air softens just a little, enough to be felt. The caveman breathes on, steady and calm, wrapped in silence and safety. The cave remains still, the world patient, as sleep lingers gently, unbroken, just a while longer. Morning returns in small pieces. A faint glow touches the snow outside, turning it from deep blue to soft grey. The light does not rush in. It waits at the cave mouth, spreading slowly, as if learning the shape of the stone. Inside, the caveman stirs. His breathing changes first, slightly deeper, slightly faster, before his eyes open. He remains still for a long moment, listening. The cave answers with quiet. No sudden sounds, no danger. Only the distant wind and the low hush of the frozen land. He sits up slowly, careful not to break the calm. The air feels cool against his skin, but not harsh. He rubs his hands together and brings them close to the ashes where the fire once lived. With practiced ease, he gathers dry fibers and a small piece of wood, coaxing life back into the hearth. A spark catches, smoke curls upward, flame returns. Warmth spreads again, gentle and familiar. The cave brightens just enough to reveal stone walls, tools resting where they were left, furs folded and worn smooth by use. Everything is where it should be. Outside, the frozen world waits, newly covered in snow, quiet and clean. The caveman does not hurry toward it. He stays near the fire, letting heat sink into his bones, letting the morning arrive fully in its own time. The flames settle into a steady glow, and the cave fills once more with warmth and soft shadow, holding the slow beginning of another day. The day moves gently forward. The fire burns steadily now, its warmth reaching every corner of the cave. The caveman prepares a simple meal, melting snow in a stone bowl and warming small pieces of dried food. Steam rises briefly, then fades into the cool air. He eats slowly, feeling strength return little by little. There is no rush to leave the shelter. The cold outside is deep today, heavier after the snowfall. The cave feels like the right place to remain. He spends time sorting what he owns. Tools are checked, edges smoothed. A spear shaft is rubbed with fat to keep it strong against the cold. Each task is done with care, without thought of how long it takes. Time here is shaped by patience. Outside, light brightens but brings no warmth. The sun remains distant, pale behind thin clouds. The frozen ground holds firm, unyielding. No animals pass nearby. The land rests. The caveman pauses often, sitting quietly, listening to the fire, feeling the stone beneath him. His breathing stays slow, even. The cave feels alive with memory, with warmth built up over many days. As the day begins, its slow turn toward evening once more, the fire crackles softly. The caveman settles near it, content with small work and quiet survival, as the frozen world remains calm beyond the stone walls. The light outside softens again, thinning as the day grows tired. Shadows stretch across the snow, long and gentle, like slow breaths across the land. Inside the cave, the fire remains steady, a small sun holding back the cold. The caveman rises and steps toward the entrance, standing just inside the shelter's edge. He does not go out. He only looks. The air beyond is sharp and clean, carrying the scent of snow and distant stone. The world feels still, as if resting between moments. He listens for movement, soft steps, wing beats, the hush of fur against frost. Nothing comes close. The land offers only silence, wide and calm. He accepts it with a slow nod, as if the world has spoken clearly enough. Returning to the fire, he sits and pulls his furs closer. The warmth presses gently against his legs and hands. He stretches his feet toward the embers, feeling heat seep in, easing the stiffness shaped by cold days and long nights. Time loosens its grip. The fire pops once, sending a brief spark upward. Smoke curls and fades. The cave breathes steady and deep, holding warmth like a promise. As evening settles fully, the caveman lowers himself back onto the furs. His body relaxes, guided by habit and trust. Outside, the frozen world grows darker once more, while inside, the fire dims softly, preparing for another quiet night. Night arrives again, familiar and unafraid. The sky beyond the cave mouth deepens into dark blue, then black, scattered with stars that shimmer in the cold air. The frozen land lies still beneath them, quiet and wide. Inside, the fire has softened into a low, steady glow. The caveman lies on his side, facing the warmth, one hand resting near the embers, feeling their gentle breath. The stone beneath him is cool, grounding, unchanged. A distant sound drifts across the plain, snow shifting somewhere far away, or ice settling beneath its own weight. It is a low sound, slow and harmless. The caveman listens without opening his eyes, letting it pass through the night. His breathing grows deeper, slower, like waves easing onto a shore. Each breath brings warmth in, sends cold away. The furs hold heat close, wrapping him in comfort built from many careful days. Thoughts drift and fade. The night asks nothing. The world outside continues its quiet rhythm, moving without hurry, without threat. As the embers dim further, the cave grows darker. The fire settles into near stillness, and sleep deepens again, calm and secure, while the frozen world rests beneath the ancient stars. Sleep holds gently, like thick fur against the cold. The caveman rests without movement now, his body heavy and calm, shaped by warmth and long familiarity with the cave. The fire has become only a faint memory of light, a soft glow buried beneath ash, breathing slowly. Outside, the frozen world remains vast and silent. The stars drift across the sky in their ancient paths. Frost tightens its quiet grip on stone and soil. Nothing rushes, nothing disturbs the night. Inside, the cave feels deeper, darker, as if wrapping itself more closely around its single sleeper. The walls hold the cold back, the floor holds steady. Every sound is absorbed by stone and time. The caveman's breath is slow and even, each rise and fall smaller than the last. Muscles loosen, hands relax. The day, the fire, the cold, all drift far away, leaving only rest. Somewhere beyond the cave, wind moves gently across the plain, smoothing snow, erasing lines, softening edges. Inside, sleep deepens further, peaceful and complete, as if the world itself has paused to rest. The darkness remains calm and unbroken, and the frozen land waits quietly as sleep settles fully into the cave. Time passes without leaving marks. The night holds steady, deep and wide, and the cave remains a quiet island of shelter within the frozen world. The caveman sleeps on, his body sinking further into the familiar shape of stone and fur. Warmth lingers where the fire once breathed, gentle and dependable. A faint draft moves through the cave mouth, cool and clean. It brushes the edge of the furs, then slips away, unable to reach the place where sleep has settled. Outside, the sky begins its slow turn, stars drifting almost imperceptibly, keeping ancient time. Inside, there is only the soft sound of breathing. Each breath is unhurried even, as if counted by the cave itself. The stone walls seem closer now, not pressing, only present, holding everything in place. Dreamless rest continues. Muscles release the last traces of tension. Hands lie open. The body remembers countless nights like this, cold beyond stone, warmth within, trust built one quiet evening at a time. Somewhere far away, ice cracks softly along the river, then grows still again. The sound never reaches the cave. Sleep remains undisturbed, calm and complete, as the darkness keeps watch. The night deepens once more, and the frozen world stays silent, patient, and far beyond the cave's steady peace. Just before dawn, the cold eases its grip slightly, not enough to be felt as warmth, only enough to soften the sharpness of the night. The sky beyond the cave lightens by a shade so faint it can only be sensed, not seen. The frozen world prepares to turn again. Inside, the caveman sleeps on, undisturbed. His body lies still, settled into a deep, trusting rest. The furs around him have molded to his shape, holding heat close, remembering the warmth of many nights before this one. The cave is quiet in a way that feels full, not empty. Stone holds every sound, every movement, until there is nothing left but stillness. Ash rests where the fire once lived, pale and soft, waiting for morning hands. A slow breath in, a slow breath out, each one steady, each one calm. Outside, the land remains silent beneath the fading stars. Snow lies smooth and untouched. Wind pauses as if listening. The frozen world and the sleeping cave share the same unbroken peace. As the faint promise of morning gathers beyond the stone walls, the caveman remains wrapped in rest, safe and warm, while darkness lingers just a little longer. Morning begins to breathe again. A pale wash of light touches the snow outside the cave, barely brighter than the darkness it replaces. The frozen world does not wake suddenly. It stretches, slow and quiet, easing into another day. Inside, the caveman remains asleep for a little while longer. His breathing is deep and even, steady as the land itself. The cold beyond the stone walls feels distant now, kept away by thick rock and layered furs. The cave holds its warmth carefully, like something precious. At last, his eyes open. Not fully, just enough to sense the change. He stays still, listening. The night sounds have gone. In their place is a deep, open quiet, the kind that belongs only to early morning. No wind, no movement, only the earth waiting. He sits up slowly, joints stiff but familiar with the motion. His hands brush the stone floor, cool beneath his fingers. Ash rests where the fire slept. With patient care, he brings it back to life, feeding it dry fibers, breathing gently until a small flame answers. The fire grows, soft and welcoming. Light returns to the cave, revealing tools, furs, and walls shaped by many seasons. Outside, the frozen land brightens, unchanged and calm. The caveman settles near the fire, warming his hands, letting the morning settle into his bones. Another day has arrived, quiet and steady, with no need to hurry. The flames flicker softly and time slows once more, resting in the gentle glow of the cave. The fire steadies, finding its rhythm. Small flames lean into the air, then draw back, content to glow rather than rise. The caveman sits close, palms open to the warmth, feeling it move into his fingers, his wrists, his forearms, slowly, patiently. Outside, the morning light grows a little stronger. Snow reflects it softly, turning the land pale and quiet. The sky holds thin clouds that drift without purpose, as if simply passing the time. No tracks cross the plain near the cave. The world feels untouched, newly made. He prepares for the day in small ways. A stone blade is tested against a scrap of hide, a strap is tightened, a bundle of dried food is set within reach. These actions are gentle, almost meditative, each one returning calm to his body. When he steps to the cave mouth, he does not leave. He only stands and listens. The air carries the scent of cold stone and snow. Far away, the river murmurs beneath ice, a low sound that reminds him water still moves, even when hidden. Satisfied, he returns to the fire and sits. Hunger is present, but quiet. There will be time for walking later, or perhaps not at all. Today does not ask for effort yet. The cave fills with warmth again. Shadows settle into familiar places. The fire's light softens, steady and reassuring, as the morning stretches long and unhurried, holding the promise of another calm day. The morning grows older, but nothing urges it forward. Light settles into the snow outside, bright but cold, resting gently on the land. Inside the cave, the fire continues its quiet work, warming stone and air alike. The caveman shifts his position, easing his back against the wall. The stone feels cool but familiar, shaped by years of leaning, resting, waiting. He closes his eyes for a while, not sleeping, just letting his body remain still. Stillness here is not emptiness, it is part of living. Outside, a faint sound moves across the plain. Not footsteps, not wings, just the wind brushing over frozen ground, smoothing what the night left behind. The sound comes and goes, leaving silence in its place. He opens his eyes again and watches the fire. Embers glow and fade like a slow heartbeat. The rhythm is calming, steady enough to follow without thinking. Time stretches thin. Hunger waits patiently. Cold stays outside. Nothing needs to change. This is enough. As the fire settles lower and the light outside begins its slow shift toward afternoon, the cave remains warm and still. The caveman rests where he is, breathing deep and easy, letting the quiet carry him gently through the hours. Afternoon drifts in without ceremony. The light outside the cave grows thinner, stretching longer shadows across the snow. The cold remains steady, firm, but not cruel, as if it knows it has all the time it needs. Inside, the caveman rises slowly and adds a small branch to the fire. Flames lift briefly, then soften again, settling into a calm glow. The warmth spreads outward, touching the stone floor, the tools, the quiet air. Everything feels held, He moves a few steps within the cave, stretching his legs, feeling the slow return of strength. Each movement is unhurried. There is no distance to cover today, no hunt calling from the plains. Survival, for now, is patience. He sits again near the fire and works the edge of a stone tool, rubbing it carefully against another rock. The sound is soft, repetitive, soothing. Stone shaping stone, guided by hands that have done this many times before. Small dust falls and rests where it lands. Outside, clouds slide across the sky, dimming the light. The world grows quieter still, if that is possible. Snow does not move, trees do not speak, the land simply waits. When the tool feels right, he sets it aside and leans back, eyes half closed. The fire breathes gently, the cave remains steady. Time loosens its grip, allowing the afternoon to pass like a slow exhale. As the fire settles and the light fades a little more, the caveman rests in the warmth, calm and grounded, while the frozen world holds its quiet beyond the stone walls. Late afternoon arrives softly, like a shadow leaning across the land. The light beyond the cave mouth turns pale and slanted, touching the snow at a low angle before slipping away. The frozen world exhales unhurried, preparing once more for night. Inside, the caveman remains close to the fire. He stirs the embers with a short stick, not to make them brighter, only to keep them alive. A faint crackle answers him, then quiets again. The warmth continues to spread in a slow, patient circle. He wraps his furs more tightly around his shoulders and sits with his back to the stone wall. The wall is cool, solid, reassuring. It does not change. It has seen many nights like this and will see many more. That thought settles into him like calm. Outside, the wind returns briefly, brushing the cave entrance with a low sigh before moving on. No snow falls, no tracks appear. The land stays smooth and untouched, resting in its own stillness. The caveman breathes deeply, matching the pace of the quiet around him. Inhale, exhale, each one slow and even. The fire's light flickers gently across the cave ceiling, then softens, then steadies again. As the afternoon fades toward evening, the cave grows dimmer, warmer by contrast. The caveman remains where he is, grounded and at ease, letting time pass without resistance, while the frozen world beyond the stone walls settles into calm. Evening approaches as quietly as breath on cold air. The sky outside the cave deepens from pale grey to a soft blue, and the snow begins to lose its shine. Shadows lengthen across the plain, stretching slowly, never rushing. Inside, the caveman tends the fire with small, careful movements. He adds one last piece of wood for the night, listening as it settles into the embers. The flames rise briefly, then relax, becoming a steady, comforting glow. The cave responds, warming gently, holding the heat close. He prepares his resting place again, smoothing the furs, adjusting them until they lie just right. These small rituals are familiar, grounding. They tell his body it is safe to slow down. He lowers himself onto the furs and sits for a moment, watching the fire breathe. Outside, the frozen world grows still once more. The wind quiets. The land holds its silence. Stars begin to appear, faint at first, then clearer as the sky darkens. The caveman lies back, eyes open for a while, following the movement of shadows across the stone ceiling. His breathing slows naturally, guided by the fire's gentle rhythm. Warmth presses against the cold edges of the night, creating a calm balance. As the light dims and the cave settles into evening, his body relaxes further, resting easily within stone and fur, while the frozen world waits peacefully beyond. Night settles fully now. The sky beyond the cave mouth is dark and wide, scattered with stars that seem sharper in the frozen air. Their light touches the snow faintly, enough to shape the land in soft outlines before darkness takes it back. Inside, the fire has become quiet again, its flames low, its warmth steady. The caveman lies on his side, knees slightly drawn in, furs tucked close around him. His body feels heavy in a comforting way, ready to rest. A sound moves across the night, very distant, almost imagined. Perhaps ice shifting beneath its own weight, perhaps wind passing between far hills. The sound fades quickly, leaving silence behind. The caveman remains still, untroubled. His breathing deepens, finding a slow rhythm that matches the quiet of the cave. Each breath draws warmth in, lets the cold drift away. The fire responds with a soft crack, then settles again. Thoughts loosen and drift apart, like sparks rising and fading into dark. The cave feels smaller now, not confining, but protective, wrapping him in stone and time. As the embers dim further, the cave grows darker. Sleep approaches gently, without resistance, and the frozen world beyond the stone walls rests beneath the stars, calm and unchanging. Sleep arrives like falling snow, soft, complete, unannounced. The caveman's body relaxes fully now, muscles loosening as if set down by careful hands. His breathing becomes slow and deep, each breath stretching the quiet further, smoothing it flat and calm. The fire's glow is faint, barely more than memory. Embers rest beneath a thin veil of ash, holding warmth without light. The cave darkens not suddenly, but in gentle layers until shadows become one with stone. Outside, the frozen world remains still. Stars drift silently across the sky, keeping time older than footsteps or fire. The plains do not move. The trees do not speak. Snow holds everything in place, patient and soft. Inside the cave, the air feels thick with rest. The stone walls seem closer now, not pressing, only present, solid and dependable. The firs rise and fall with each breath, slow and steady. No dreams stir tonight, only deep, quiet rest. The kind that settles into bone and memory, preparing the body for another day that will arrive when it is ready. As the last ember dims further and the cave settles into complete darkness, the caveman sleeps on, warm and safe, while the frozen world keeps its silent watch. The night holds steady, unbroken and kind. Time moves without sound, slipping past the cave as gently as breath against fur. The caveman sleeps on, his body heavy with warmth, settled into a deep place where nothing asks to be done. Outside, the cold presses softly against stone. Frost gathers along the edges of rock and snow, shaping tiny crystals that catch starlight, and then let it go. The sky turns slowly, stars shifting in patterns too gradual to notice. Inside, the cave remains unchanged. Ash lies quiet. Stone walls stand firm. The air is cool but calm, wrapped in the memory of fire. The caveman's breathing remains slow and even, each breath steady, each pause peaceful. A small movement, his shoulder shifts, his hand relaxes further, fingers opening slightly before resting again. Sleep adjusts itself and settles deeper, like a fur pulled higher against the cold. The night continues its patient watch. No sounds approach, no footsteps pass. The frozen world stays distant, respectful of the shelter it cannot enter. As darkness remains complete and still, the cave holds its single sleeper in silence and warmth, letting rest stretch long and full beneath the ancient stars. Deep night lingers, gentle and wide. The cave feels suspended in time, as if the hours have loosened their hold and drifted away. The caveman sleeps without stirring, his body settled into a rhythm older than memory. Breathe, rest, remain. Outside, the frozen world keeps its quiet promise. Snow holds fast to the ground, smoothing every shape. The stars wheel slowly overhead, their cold light never touching the warmth hidden within stone. Wind pauses, listening, then moves on. Inside, the air is still. The last warmth of the fire rests in the rock itself, a slow echo of heat that keeps the cold at a distance. The caveman's breath moves in long, even waves. With each exhale, his body sinks a little deeper into rest. Nothing changes, and that is enough. The cave does not ask for movement. The night does not ask for waking. The world simply continues, calm and patient, holding everything in balance. As the darkness remains complete and peaceful, the cave stays quiet, the frozen land stays distant, and sleep rests fully and safely in the stone shelter. The hours before dawn are the deepest and the calmest. The cave feels wrapped in stillness, as if the stone itself is resting. The caveman sleeps on, unmoving, his body warmed by memory, by fires lit and tended, by nights like this one, repeated across many seasons. Outside, the frozen world remains quiet and patient. The sky is dark, but not empty. Stars continue their slow paths, guiding time forward without sound. Snow rests where it fell, undisturbed, smoothing the land into gentle curves. Inside, the air is cool and clean. The faint scent of ash lingers, soft and familiar. The caveman's breathing remains slow, steady, each breath deep enough to reach the quiet places within. Muscles rest fully now, released from the work of walking and waiting. The cave offers no surprises, no echoes, no movement, only the sense of being held by stone, by earth, by a shelter, shaped through care and patience. Sleep settles even deeper, like a final layer placed gently on top of warmth. As the night continues its calm watch, the frozen world stays beyond the stone walls, and the cave remains a safe, silent space where rest stretches long and unbroken. A subtle change moves through the dark. Not light yet, only a soft easing, as if the night loosens its hold by the smallest amount. The cave remains dim and quiet, wrapped in the same deep stillness, but time shifts all the same. The caveman sleeps on, breath slow and deep, rising and falling with an unchanging calm. His body lies comfortably within the curve of stone and fur, supported and held. Nothing presses, nothing pulls. Rest is complete. Outside, the frozen world keeps its shape. Snow holds firm to the ground. Trees stand motionless, their branches etched against the sky. Somewhere far beyond the cave, ice settles with a sound too distant to be heard here. Inside, the air feels steady, balanced between warmth remembered and cold kept away. Ash lies smooth and undisturbed. The hearth waits patient, knowing fire will return when morning is ready. Sleep deepens once more, as if answering the quiet. The cave remains unchanged, safe and familiar, while the world beyond continues its slow, ancient turning beneath unseen stars. Before light returns, there is a long pause. The kind of pause that belongs only to the oldest hours, when night and morning rest together, neither in a hurry to move on. The cave remains wrapped in darkness, thick and comforting. The caveman sleeps without turning. His breathing is slow and deep, steady as the earth beneath him. Each breath seems to settle him further, as if sleep itself is shaping him gently into the stone and fur below. Warmth stays close, held quietly by the cave walls. Outside, the frozen world is unchanged. Snow lies smooth and pale beneath the stars. The sky holds its darkness evenly, without clouds, without movement that can be felt. Everything waits. Inside, silence fills the space completely. Not an empty silence, but a full one, rich with rest, heavy with calm. The faint smell of ash and smoke lingers in the air, soft and familiar. The fire is gone now, only memory remains, yet the cave still feels safe. Stone has learned how to keep warmth. The body has learned how to trust it. As the long pause continues, sleep deepens one final layer, and the night holds steady, peaceful, and unbroken around the quiet shelter. The edge of morning begins to form, quietly and without shape. It is not light yet, only a thinning of the dark, a gentle softening that can be felt more than seen. The cave remains still, wrapped in shadow, holding its warmth close. The caveman sleeps on, undisturbed. His breathing remains deep and even, each breath slow enough to feel like part of the cave itself. The furs lie heavy and warm across his body, molded to him by long hours of rest. Nothing stirs. Nothing needs to. Outside, the frozen world waits beneath a sky that has not yet decided to change. Snow holds its smooth surface. The air remains cold and clear. Time moves forward so slowly it feels almost still. Inside, the cave feels timeless. Stone does not hurry. Ash does not shift. The hearth rests quietly, ready for fire when hands return to it. The air is calm, balanced between night and day. Sleep remains deep and steady, like a long, gentle tide that has not yet begun to turn. The caveman rests fully within it, safe and warm, as the frozen world beyond the stone walls holds its breath. Morning approaches at the slowest pace imaginable. A faint, cool brightness gathers somewhere beyond the cave, not yet touching stone, only suggesting itself in the air. The darkness inside remains soft and complete, like a blanket that has not yet been lifted. The caveman sleeps on, unaware of the change. His breathing is deep and even, a steady rhythm that feels woven into the cave itself. Each breath warms the space just a little, returning calm to calm, rest to rest. Outside, the frozen world remains motionless. Snow lies smooth and pale, holding the quiet of the night without resistance. The sky begins its slow transition, though no color has yet arrived. Everything waits together. Inside, the stone walls hold firm, remembering heat, remembering safety. The furs lie heavy and still. The hearth rests quietly, ash smooth and untouched, patient as stone can be. Sleep continues to cradle the caveman, deep and unbroken. Muscles remain relaxed, hands lie open, nothing pulls him back toward waking yet. There is no need to hurry the night away. As the faint promise of morning grows just beyond reach, the cave stays dark and peaceful, holding its warmth and stillness as rest lingers a little longer. The first hint of morning finally reaches the cave, not as light, but as a quiet change in the air, a gentle easing, like the world stretching after a long rest. The darkness inside the stone shelter remains, but it feels thinner now, softer, around the edges. The caveman sleeps on, wrapped deeply in warmth and stillness. His breathing remains slow and steady, each breath rising and falling with calm certainty. The long night has carried him far into rest, and he remains there, undisturbed. Outside, the frozen world begins to shift almost imperceptibly. The sky lightens by a shade too subtle to name. Snow reflects nothing yet, holding its pale silence. The cold remains, but it feels settled, no longer pressing. Inside the cave, ash rests smooth and quiet. Stone walls stand firm, unchanged. The hearth waits patiently, knowing fire will return when hands and breath awaken it. For now, everything remains exactly as it should be. Sleep continues to hold the caveman gently like a slow tide that has not yet turned. The cave remains warm and safe, and the frozen world beyond waits in calm stillness as morning gathers quietly just out of sight. A pale breath of light finally reaches the cave mouth. It does not rush in. It lingers at the edge, touching stone softly, as if asking permission to enter. The darkness inside loosens just a little, enough to be felt in the air. The caveman remains asleep, his body heavy with warmth and trust. His breathing stays slow and deep, steady as the earth beneath him. The long night has shaped his rest, smoothing away every sharp edge of thought and effort. Outside, the frozen world begins its quiet return. Snow holds the faintest glow now, a soft grey instead of blue. The sky lightens without colour, without promise, only change. No sound rises with it. The land wakes without moving. Inside, the cave keeps its calm. Ash lies smooth, stone walls hold warmth close, remembering the fire that lived there through the night. The firs rise and fall gently, keeping cold at a respectful distance. Sleep remains deep, unbroken. The caveman does not stir. There is no need yet. Morning can wait. The world beyond the stone walls is patient, and the cave continues to hold its quiet, steady peace. Morning settles more firmly into the world, though it still moves gently. The light outside the cave grows clearer, spreading across the snow in a soft, even wash. It does not glare or shine. It simply rests there, calm and pale, revealing the quiet shapes of stone and plain. Inside, the caveman sleeps on for a little longer. His breathing remains slow, deep, unbroken. The warmth of the cave still holds him, wrapped in fur and stone, protected from the cold that rules the open land. The night has not fully let go yet. A faint shift in his posture, just a small adjustment of his shoulder, a deeper breath drawn in then released. Sleep settles again immediately, smooth and heavy like snow returning to stillness after a brief stir. Outside, the frozen world feels awake now, though it remains silent. No animals move nearby. No wind speaks. The land simply exists, wide and patient, beneath the growing light. Inside the cave, the hearth waits. Ash rests undisturbed. The stone walls glow faintly where morning light reaches them, then fade back into shadow. Everything feels balanced, calm, complete. The caveman remains asleep, resting at the edge of waking, but not yet crossing it, as the morning holds its breath and the cave continues to cradle him in quiet warmth. Waking comes slowly, like warmth returning to cold hands. The caveman's breathing changes first, becoming a little deeper, a little fuller. The cave is no longer completely dark now. A soft, pale light rests near the entrance, touching stone and snow without sound. He opens his eyes and does not move. He listens. The world answers with quiet. No wind, no distant calls. Only the deep, steady stillness of morning in a frozen land. The cave feels safe, unchanged, familiar in every curve and shadow. He shifts slightly, rolling onto his back, feeling the weight of furs and the cool strength of stone beneath him. His body feels rested, heavy in a good way, grounded and calm. The long night has done its work. Slowly, he sits up. The movement is unhurried, careful, as if he does not want to disturb the peace that still lingers in the air. He rubs his hands together and breathes into them, feeling warmth return. The hearth waits. Ash lies smooth and pale. With gentle patience, he brings the fire back. Dry grass, a careful breath, a small spark answering softly. Flame appears again, modest and steady, filling the cave with warmth and quiet light. Outside, the frozen world is fully morning now, still cold, still silent, but bright enough to see the wide plains and untouched snow. Inside, the fire breathes calmly, and the caveman settles near it, wrapped in warmth, fully awake, yet untroubled. The moment stretches, peaceful and complete, as the fire crackles softly and the cave holds its calm. The day does not ask him to hurry. The fire has settled into a gentle glow, warming the cave just enough to soften the cold that waits outside. The caveman sits close, legs drawn in, hands open toward the heat. His breathing is slow, steady, matched to the quiet rhythm of flame and stone. Outside, the frozen world lies calm beneath a pale sky. Snow remains smooth and untouched, holding the memory of night. The plains stretch wide and silent, offering no demand, no threat, only space and time. The wind has gone still, as if resting alongside everything else. He does not rise to walk, he does not reach for tools. Instead, he lets himself remain where he is, listening to the fire's soft voice, feeling warmth settle deeper into his bones. The cave feels especially strong this morning, solid, familiar, protective. Stone walls hold the heat. Firs hold comfort. The hearth breathes steadily. His eyelids grow heavy again. Not from exhaustion, but from safety. From knowing the world for this moment is balanced. Cold outside, warmth within, nothing required, nothing missing. He leans back against the stone wall, head resting comfortably, eyes closing once more. The firelight dances gently across the cave ceiling, slower now, softer, as if dimming in respect of rest. Outside, the frozen world remains unchanged. Inside, the caveman slips easily back into sleep, not from night, but from peace, while the fire glows quietly, guarding the silence. Thank you for sharing this quiet journey into the ancient past. As the fire fades to embers and the cave settles into stillness, may you feel the same calm warmth and safety the caveman found in his frozen world. Let your breathing slow, let your thoughts soften, let sleep arrive naturally like snow falling without sound. If you enjoyed resting beside this ancient fire, you're gently invited to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a quiet comment sharing where you're listening from and what time it is for you now. May your night be peaceful, your rest deep, and your dreams as steady as stone beneath ancient stars.